Alright, welcome back folks. So, we are starting our second set with Mega Gardevoir EX, and as I mentioned, I made a copy of my existing Gardevoir EX deck and just made some tweaks for the new cards here. So let's take a look at it. So a couple of things that I did. Obviously, I added in just the one copy of the Mega Gardevoir EX because, again, even though this is, the quote-unquote title of the archetype and the deck, it is secondary to having the Psychic Embrace mechanic and then everything else that you're able to do with that. So even in my first set of 10, the Mega Gardevoir did not come into play as often, and there was even at least one time where I had it in play and wished that I just had the regular Gardevoir EX instead. So this card just is way better overall. Of course, the Mega is going to hit way harder, but the standard one doesn't have to hit harder as long as you can do all of the other things that you want to do. Speaking of which, like the Screamtail, the Roaring Scream, as well as the Drifloon, I brought this back in here. We'll see if I keep it that way or if I end up favoring one over the other. And other than that, I reduced my copies of Monkey Dory, I increased my copies of Ralts and Kirlia, and I also moved all of my copies over to the new versions and left the rest pretty intact. Speaking of which, trainers, I also mostly left intact. I did keep Secret Box as my A spec just because the Legendary Cape is nice, but it felt a little more situational. As opposed to Secret Box, you can discard 3 cards, including your energies that you need to get to your discard pile, and then search out an item, a tool, a supporter, and a stadium that you need. So this, I just think, is more overall helpful, so we're keeping the Secret Box. I did add in a copy of the Mystery Garden as another way to discard psychic energies. I traded out 2 of my Professor's Research for 2 Lily's Determination, so we'll see if I keep that ratio there. And then, yeah, most of my other trainers I left pretty much alone. I do have 2 fewer copies of Iono as well, just because I needed some more Ralts and Kirlia, so 1 more copy each of those. And then my energies, I have 2 Darkness and 1 Luminous, so if I do get all of my monkeys in play, I do have the energy to do that. But then my basic Psychic energies, I kept it at 8, and then in addition to the Luminous, because you need 8 in order to hit that 400 number, which is what Mega Gardevoir needs in order to take 1-hit KOs on anything without weakness. So 400 is kind of the max that anything can hit. The only exception to that would be like a Mega Pokemon with a Legendary Cape on it, which I did play a couple times on Mega Gardevoir, not because I needed to, but just because I could. So that's it for this deck. We'll try it, and for this set of 10, I will make tweaks as needed just to see, what kind of is the best way to play it. But we'll try it out and we'll see how we do.
you